Iron Man is the greatest of all the heroes of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So why did his solo films stop at 3? In a recent Vanity Fair interview, Avengers in-game screenwriters Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely shed some light on why the armored Avenger never got a 4th solo outing. Simply put, the scribes related that Marvel Studios brass felt that another flick centered on the adventures of the MCU's most popular character would have been a little bit too safe. McFeely made the point that Marvel has never been particularly interested in doing exactly what's expected of it. For evidence, he pointed to its decision to take a chance on one property in particular, James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy, rather than cranking out sequels for its most popular Avengers one after another.
I recognize this animal. We'd roast him over a flame pit as children. The flesh was quite delicious. Not helping!
McFeely explained, whether you like all of the 24 movies or not, the capital that Marvel built up allowed them to do things like make a movie starring a raccoon and a tree, right? You would have already had Iron Man 4 if it was any other studio, but they decided, no, we're going to take chances on all these other things. To illustrate further how Marvel's affinity for risk-taking has paid off, the scribe suggested that we should look no further than Endgame, the highest-grossing film of all time, and one that definitively removed Iron Man and Captain America, the MCU's most recognizable players, from its increasingly crowded board. McFeely admitted, quote, "To put a flag in the ground and say we're going to end something and take characters off the table is, I think, kind of daring, but selfishly, it was really great for us." Marcus then chimed in with the final word not only on why Iron Man 4 never happened and never will, but why Tony Stark had to meet his end at the conclusion of Endgame. He said, "A story needs an ending or it loses meaning. The end is what cements the thing to actually sew it together and bring it to a crescendo and yeah, take people off the board, finish their arcs. If Tony made it out the other side and Iron Man 4 was waiting there, you'd be like, one too many."
And that's the hero gig. Part of the journey is the end.
It just serves to illustrate the extent to which Marvel has its finger on the pulse of its audience. It knows them well enough to not only know what they want, but what they might not have even known they wanted. It's true, having Stark defeat Thanos only to pay a minimal price would have cheapened his action. To then bring him back for Iron Man 4 would have been a transparent cash grab of the sort that the studio has thus far steered way clear of. It's not even that Marvel is opposed to forquels for individual Avengers. Thor, after all, will be getting a 4th solo flick with the upcoming Thor: Love and Thunder, but he is a character who happens to be smack dab in the midst of a huge, profound shift in his priorities. His transformation from often stoic, sometimes unintentionally funny God of Thunder to hilarious, clinically depressed, still badass as Guardian of the Galaxy didn't begin in earnest until 2017's Thor: Ragnarok, and the earth-shattering events of Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame left him with a lot of unanswered questions about who he really is, and also with a lot of room for growth. Stark, on the other hand, underwent a complete and convincing character arc between inaugural MCU effort Iron Man and Endgame. The so-called genius billionaire playboy philanthropist didn't even begin to learn the meaning of teamwork and sacrifice until 2012's The Avengers, and the events of Iron Man 3 and Captain America: Civil War forced him to confront his own shortcomings in a way that he had never before done. If Infinity War finally made him come to terms with the possibility, heck, the cold reality, of abject failure, then Endgame saw him learn that even such failure doesn't give one license to simply give up, and that some things, like the love of friends and family, are worth giving everything for. It was as complete and moving an arc as any superhero could have ever hoped for. Of course, this probably doesn't mean that Marvel fans will never see Iron Man again. Signs are pointing to at least a cameo in the upcoming solo vehicle Black Widow, which takes place between the events of Civil War and Infinity War, and there are conflicting reports as to whether Downey will reprise the role in the Disney Plus animated series What If. But as far as Stark's actual complete story in the MCU goes, we're of the opinion that it couldn't have been executed any better, and that Marcus and McFeely are absolutely correct. Iron Man 4 would have been one too many. However, we can't help but hope that Marvel finds a way to let Taika Waititi keep on making Thor movies forever. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about the Marvel Cinematic Universe are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.